Welcome to Report Vikings, your daily Minnesota Vikings news channel. Today, we bring you two pieces of news that are shaking up the NFL world
Vikings advise
and could
to target
directly
veteran
impact
NFL
the future
safety.
of the Vikings.
John Johnson III
If you
could
are a
be
true
ideal
fan and
plan.
want to stay up to date with all the news
Despite
and
making
analysis, don't
strategic
forget to
moves in the
subscribe to our
offseason and
channel.
closing several holes
turn
on
on
the roster,
notifications so you
the
don't miss
Minnesota
any
Vikings
details
still
about your
have room
favorite
for
team.
adjustments.
Now let's go
especially
to the first
on
news.
defense.
Sam Darnold, the recommendation of the moment,
in touch with the Minnesota
sign of
Vikings.
versatile and experienced
Bonds
veteran
that
like
don't
John
go
Johnson
away.
III, formerly of the Rams and Browns.
After reviving his career with
The suggestion was made by Mo Moton of Bleacher Report.
Quarterback Sam
listed
Darnold
an
now
ideal
faces
move
a
for
new
each
chapter
NFL
as a starter
franchise
for the Seattle
before the
Seahawks.
start of the season. However,
In the
even
case
with
of
the
the
three-year,
Vikings,
$100.5 million
Johnson
contract
III as a
signed
smart
with the NFC
reinforcement
West
for a
franchise,
secondary
the former
that lost
USC
Cameron
player made
Bynum
it clear that he
and now
hasn't
relies
forgotten
on
the
the
roots
untested
of his names
names
to
to make
maintain the
comeback.
high level of the defensive
In a
rotation
recent interview
led
with
by
Clutch
Brian
Points
Flores.
DJ Siddiqui,
Darnold revealed that he
safety
still has
position,
frequent
the
conversations
Vikings have
with
Harrison
important
Smith
names
and
in
Josh
the Vikings
Metellus as
organization,
starters,
but depth is
including
limited. Head coach
Moton
Kevin
said.
O'Connell, Theo Jackson, and
You
Jay
gain
Ward
everyone's trust,
have a combined
and then
total
all of a
just
sudden you're gone from the locker
285
room.
career defensive
But those
snaps.
bonds don't go away overnight.
A clear gap in the three security
I still
system.
talk to some of
Flores
my former
loves
teammates
working
in
with three
Minnesota,
safeties
and
on
I
the
also
field.
keep in touch with
Something
Kevin
that
a
worked
little
very
bit,
well in
Darnold
2023
said.
with Smith.
Of course, he has a
Metellus,
very busy
and
schedule,
Bynum,
just like me,
but
preparing
with
for
Bynum
next
out of
year.
the mix,
But it's
the
good
third
to keep
reliable
that
name
connection
has
with
yet to
those who were
emerge.
part of my
Jackson
journey.
was re-signed to a 3-year extension.
Darnold
and pay
arrived
raise,
at the Vikings
but he
with
still
low
needs to prove he can
expectations.
assume a full-time
Initially
starting
to
role.
serve as a
Jay
bridge
Ward,
until
meanwhile,
J.J. McCarthy,
remains
the
behind
rookie
him
chosen
in the
with the
rotation
10th overall
and
pick
has
in the
contributed
2024
little
draft
since being called
could
up in
adapt.
2023.
However,
the meniscus
Jackson doesn't
injury
show up in
suffered by
training
McCarthy
camp
during
or
the
the
first few preseason games.
paved the way
The
for
Vikings
Darnold
need to have a
take over the
contingency
offensive
plan
command.
ready. And Johnson
And
III
surprise.
at 29. Maybe
With
just
solid
that plan
performances
B
and
in
field
field
command,
versatility
the
as
quarterback
assets.
led Minnesota to the playoffs.
John Johnson
coming
III is not
within
just
one
any
game
of the NFC
a
North
third-round
title.
pick by the Los Angeles Rams
The campaign,
in
however,
2017
ended
he quickly
prematurely
rose
with
to
elimination
prominence
by
and
the
became a
Los
starter
Angeles
in his
Rams,
rookie season.
led by
In
Matthew
2018,
Stafford.
he was
the
the key
first
player
player
in
in
the
the campaign
postseason.
that took the Rams to the Super Bowl.
Despite this,
and throughout his
Darnold's
career, he
performance
accumulated
rekindled his
105
value.
games
On the market
11
and led to the
interceptions,
coveted
and
offer from
562
Seattle.
tackles.
There, he will
in
face
addition
a
to
new
having
challenge on a
experience
team that
playing both
selected
as a
Jalen
free
Milroe,
safety and
formerly
in
of Alabama,
slot coverage
as a developing quarterback.
Johnson has
Although it did
experience
not
at both
invest
safety
a first-round
positions
pick in the
and can
position.
play nickel when needed.
The most
Moton
important
explained.
thing now
He
is
suffered
not
a
to try to
fractured
repeat
scapula early
what
in
happened last
2023,
year,
but
it's
is
about
now
starting
healthy
over,
and ready to contribute.
focusing on how I can get a
After
little better
stints
every
with the
day.
Rams and Browns,
It's cliche,
with whom he
but it
signed a
makes sense.
3-year,
I want to improve, and I know my teammates are on the
contract in
same page.
2021.
Darnold
Johnson
said.
returned to Los Angeles for the past
Behind the
2
scenes,
years.
sources
Always on
indicate that
short-term
Darnold
deals
was
and
aware of the
affordable
Seahawks'
salaries.
intention to draft a
Even
young
with
passer,
recent injuries,
which was not a
he
factor
has
in
proven
his
to be a
decision.
reliable defender.
He
so,
even returned in time
the emotional
to face and
ties
beat
with
the
Minnesota
Vikings
remain
themselves
strong
in last season's
and this was
playoffs.
evident during the interview.
Internal connections strengthened
After the end of the
possibility.
season,
In
there was
addition to his
speculation about a
on-field
possible
credentials,
renewal with
Johnson
the
III
Vikings,
has ties
since
to
McCarthy was
important
still
members
recovering
of the
from the
Vikings
injury.
organization. He worked
However,
with
Kevin
Kevin
opted
O'Connell
to
in Los
continue with the
Angeles,
rookie,
freeing Darnold to
in
explore other
Cleveland,
options in free
and spent
agency.
time in the defense of Wade Phillips.
Today,
the
in
father
Seattle,
of current
Darnold is
Minnesota
starting from
offensive
scratch,
coordinator
but his
Wes
heart,
Phillips
it seems, is still in the north.
Those connections
and if
could
it
make
depends
it
on the
easier
empathy,
to make.
A
He
trade
built
in
if the
Minnesota
Vikings want
the
to bolster
affection
their
will always be
secondary with someone who
reciprocated.
understands the system.
Vikings advise
has a
to
history
target
of
veteran
leadership
NFL safety
and can handle the pressure
John
of
Johnson
big games.
III could be ideal plan.
Conclusion.
Johnson III
despite
is the
making
life
strategic
insurance for a
moves in the
promising but
offseason and
fragile
closing
rotation.
several holes on the
With
roster,
Harrison Smith
the
heading into
Minnesota
the final
Vikings
stretch of
still
his
have room
career
for
and
adjustments,
Metellus establishing
especially
on defense.
himself as an essential
The
hybrid
recommendation
piece
of the
Flores'
moment,
scheme,
sign
the
of
third
versatile
safety in the
and
rotation
experienced
becomes
veteran
one of
like
the most
John Johnson
sensitive
III,
spots on the roster.
formerly of the Rams and Browns.
The bet on Theo Jackson
The suggestion was made by Mo Moton of
He has
Bleacher
already
Report,
shown flashes
who
of
listed an
promise and
ideal
has been
move for each NFL
well rewarded
franchise.
for it.
But if
before
he
the
doesn't
start of the
deliver,
season.
the Vikings'
In the
margin
case of
of
the
error
Vikings,
shrinks considerably.
Moton sees Johnson III
Bringing in
as a
Johnson
smart
III
reinforcement
now,
for a
before
secondary
another team does,
that lost Cameron
could be the
Bynum
quiet move
and
that
now
ensures
relies on
defensive
untested
stability in
names to
2025.
maintain the high level of the defensive rotation led by Brian Flores. At the safety position, the Vikings have Harrison Smith and Josh Metellus as starters, but depth is limited, Moton said. Theo Jackson and Jay Ward have a combined total of just 285 career defensive snaps. A clear gap in the three-security system. Flores loves working with three safeties on the field, something that worked very well in 2023 with Smith, Metellus, and Bynum. But with Bynum out of the mix, the third reliable name has yet to emerge. Jackson was re-signed to a 3-year extension and pay raise, but he still needs to prove he can assume a full-time starting role. Jay Ward, meanwhile, remains behind him in the rotation and has contributed little since being called up in 2023. If Jackson doesn't show up in training camp or the first few preseason games, the Vikings need to have a contingency plan ready And Johnson III at 29 may be just that plan B experience and versatility as assets. John Johnson III is not just any name. A third-round pick by the Los Angeles Rams in 2017, he quickly rose to prominence and became a starter in his rookie season. In 2018, he was a key player in the campaign that took the Rams to the Super Bowl, and throughout his career, he accumulated 105 games, 11 interceptions, and 562 tackles, in addition to having experience playing both as a free safety and in slot coverage. Johnson has experience at both safety positions and can play nickel when needed, Moton explained. He suffered a fractured scapula early in 2023, but is now healthy and ready to contribute. After stints with the Rams and Browns, with whom he signed a 3-year, $33.75 million contract in 2021, Johnson returned to Los Angeles for the past 2 years, always on short-term deals and affordable salaries. Even with recent injuries, he has proven to be a reliable defender. He even returned in time to face and beat the Vikings themselves in last season's playoffs. Internal connections strengthen the possibility. In addition to his on-field credentials, Johnson III has ties to important members of the Vikings organization. He worked with Kevin O'Connell in Los Angeles, Kwesi Adofo-Mensah in Cleveland, and spent time in the defense of Wade Phillips, the father of current Minnesota offensive coordinator Wes Phillips. Those connections could make it easier to make a trade if the Vikings want to bolster their secondary with someone who understands the system, has a history of leadership, and can handle the pressure of big games. Conclusion: Johnson III is the life insurance for a promising but fragile rotation, with Harrison Smith heading into the final stretch of his career and Metellus establishing himself as an essential hybrid piece in Flores' scheme. The third safety in the rotation becomes one of the most sensitive spots on the roster. The bet on Theo Jackson is understandable. He has already shown flashes of promise and has been well rewarded for it. But if he doesn't deliver, the Vikings' margin of error shrinks considerably. Bringing in Johnson III now, before another team does, could be the quiet move that ensures defensive stability in 2025.